Many of you have been around last time, and we got a lot of good feedback about the intro to AI that Jeff was giving. And so we are thinking, let's start today with an intro to chatbots. We are also doing chatbots at Kayak, and I'll give a little bit of more details after we go through the intro. And I think a nice way to start with an intro is maybe to go a little bit through the history of chatbots. But like, first question, who of you have used a chatbot? Okay, almost everyone. Who of you tried to build one or built one actually? Okay, a lot of developers, that's great. So when we think about chatbots, we all think about Facebook Messenger and whatnot, which is all like a couple of years ago. But actually there was one of the very, very first, as Wikipedia says, and as everyone cites, chatbot that has been developed at MIT from 1964 to 1966. It was created by Joseph Weizenbaum. It was the first chatbot, and also the claim is it's the first program to pass the Turing test. It was somehow extensible. There is a very nice Wikipedia article about it. The most famous script was called Doctor because it was mimicking a psychotherapist. And I'm not sure if you can read the screenshot, but it basically shows a conversation with a psychotherapist that tries to help to solve your problems. It's now you now think, okay, now we are at 1964, so now it goes on at 2016. Not quite. In between, there was a little gap, but around 2000 and later, you may have talked to a couple of avatars on web pages, like on your insurance web page or at like electricity grid companies, whatnot. And interesting enough, when I was going through my attic, I was actually also developing a chatbot myself in 2002. So to give a little bit of reference to that, that was before AWS existed, before Facebook existed, before Slack existed, before Jiffy existed. However, there was a system that a lot of people used to chat back then, which was called the Internet Relay Chat. People who use Slack today, there are some similarities, like how the channels are named, how it works, how the interface looks like. It's a little bit of an 8-bit version of Slack. It was free. You can use everyone. There were like dozens of different clients that all look different look and feel. This is a screenshot of the Windows client. It is still popular today in developers, but it probably had its time. And one interesting detail there was to keep the thing running and to keep your channel running, you had to have someone doorkeeping day and night. And while nobody had a connection at home that was online 24/7, people used to start bots to basically just manage their channels. And a very popular framework on that was a collection of scripts called Eggdrop, which was basically a piece of software that connected to IRC, IRC, and allowed programmatically to talk to that thing. So back then I wrote a little script and I extended that. And I feel there's a lot of things that are similarity to how we develop bots today. So this chatbot was purely based on regular expressions, and it was context aware because it had one context variable. So a simple example here is it starts a conversation. Somebody asks about the weather. We now know our context is the weather, and now we ask a question: is the sun also shining for you? And without the context, we would have no chance to react properly on a yes or no. But since we know that the context is weather, we can now move forward with either asking if there were some plans for today, or if the person had some good DVDs or whatever existed back then to watch. That system tried to be a human, and there were also some interesting learnings. The first learning was in early versions, people didn't like when they got an answer immediately, so the response time had to be randomized and also be more adapted to human speed. And it was also important to have some user retention by whenever the user dropped off, there was another random timer that tried to restart the communication again with some open-ended random questions. The human coverage never survived too long because it was easy to break, which I also think fits a lot to today's bots. There were loops, which I also think fits a lot to today's bots. Nevertheless, some conversations didn't go so bad. So this is in German here. This is like an original conversation. The bot was Pit 17 talking to a person, and this person was really trying to squeeze the phone number out of the bot, who was saying that he's not allowed, he can't use the phone of his dad. Now going a couple of 10 more years forward, we are not talking about internet relay chat anymore, but we have a couple of very popular extensible platforms, starting with Slack, the little hashtag here, which is a tool for enterprise productivity and who uses bots as an enabler for this productivity, like getting things done within the chat by a bot. We have the Facebook Messenger that probably everyone here knows and uses. We, of course, need to talk about WeChat, which is the green icon with the two bubbles, which is very popular in China, not very widely used here. And you also have been a user of Telegram, which is the little airplane here, Kik, and of course Skype. And this is not at all a complete list. There are many, many more platforms and also more of them that can be extended with bots. WeChat is very popular in this whole bot discussion because not only that it was there early, it really allows to build what a lot of people call an app-in-app experience. So for instance, here you are inside the WeChat app, but actually selecting seats on an airline and finishing check-in. Or another example here, it is still inside WeChat and it's still that app and there are multiple screens that allow this user to finish a movie ticket booking. So there are these apps in apps and all these users, they only had to download WeChat or maybe they already got it when they bought their phone. So there were the first questions and the first people asking, so this is BBC, so mainstream media from October 2016 saying, are killer bots about to do away with smartphone apps? Is anyone going to have their own smartphone app or will it just be a bot inside somebody else's app? And there is some more data that may back that theory, which is here the mobile app usage growth year over year that shows that basically not only, but the highest growth in app downloads right now is with messaging and social apps, followed by here sports, business, and so on, up to then like games who are more like on a falling streak. And also when we look at this, we can look at this from another angle. If we look at the top download charts, the top 15 smartphone apps according to this fortune list here, number 1 was Facebook, number 2 was the Facebook Messenger, and then here it's a couple of like basic apps that everyone has on the phone, and then on number 13 we have Snapchat, which is also a chatting app. So there's a lot of good news about how these bots are going to replace native apps, and I guess a lot of people are getting scared, everyone trying to jump on that boat. But at the same time, we are also getting already, or it started to also the bad press coming in, and this is one of the very recent articles on TechCrunch, which was published in March 2017. It is related to some way how Facebook changed how bots can be designed. It's basically about a UI change, but it starts just a headline, as Messenger's bots lose steam. So are they losing steam? Are they coming? To give you more idea of what's, so I don't have a question, an answer for that, and I think we will have to wait more, but let's change gears a little bit and let's just talk about one of these platforms in specific. And I have selected the Facebook Messenger for a deeper dive into what's happening here. So Facebook Messenger, it used to be inside the Facebook app for the longest time, but then it was split up into a different app. I think Facebook did quite some job in forcing users to chat over there, and probably everyone here has it installed on his or her phone. It's an extremely popular platform, especially in the United States. The last numbers that were published, and they are also already a couple of months old, was that there are more than 900 million monthly active users on that platform. Facebooks are just possible there since April 2016, which is now a year. This is true, but it's very, very impressive that within that year, and actually the number that I'm citing now is again from, I think, November 2016, there have already been more than 34,000 chatbots on Facebook Messenger. We can't go through all of them. There's also a problem with discovery. There are some folks, like for instance, there's a website called Botlist who try to help building a directory for people to find out what is available. I made a list of some notable bots that are some of the most well-known ones, and give a little bit of context to these. So one of the first bots that went out immediately on the day when Facebook opened up the API access and was basically a launch partner is Poncho the Weather Cat. It's the one on the leftmost hand side here. It's this little nice cat that you can use to, first of all, ask about the current weather, and you can also set up alerts about changes in the weather. So it works pretty similar like a weather app. So you would say you're walking around and you would get a notification that it's going to start to rain soon. To my understanding, right now, highest used chatbot on Facebook Messenger is a bot called Swelly. They have more than 2 million users on that chatbot, and I'm not aware of anyone else who gave such a number. The purpose of that thing is that you basically spend all day deciding A or B. So like you start saying, I want to start voting. You can also say like, I want to have a topic, like I want to vote about shoes, and it will go on forever basically with one of these images. So like you have A and B, left and right side. And then there are these two buttons where you decide if you want to go A or B. And after you made the decision, you will get how you will get the actual percentage, how the current distribution looks like. And this is right now developing in some sort of market research company. Another remarkable bot, not only remarkable because it actually is built pretty much across the street, is the Crows bot, which belongs to the CTO of HubSpot. It is also very popular, and it has a lot of information for people who do marketing. Like here are examples. You can ask for company information. You can look for some ranking data, and so on. A couple of more popular ones are, like there are also more traditional sites there, like the Score. You can get push notifications about sports. And one interesting field that got very popular on the Facebook Messenger are bots that basically mimic a persona. There's also a company whose business is to create these experiences. And I think the two most popular ones there are Christina Milan, who you see on the most right-hand side. There's also already some sales component, like you can order autographs on the bot. And then there's a bot related to Christian Grey, who is from the succession of 50 Shades of Grey. I'm not sure what the title of the movie is, but it's this persona. And you see many of these type of bots on Facebook Messenger, and these are the most popular ones. If you want to check out a bot, it's pretty simple. You go into the Facebook Messenger, and when you hit the search bar, it should usually auto-suggest you a couple of bots that change all the time based on some algorithms that Facebook runs. I now want to show you a deep dive of the technology, what is possible there, and because that's the bot I know the best, I will do that based on the Kayak Facebook Messenger bot. To give you some context on that, we had a very busy year last year on AI innovation, particularly on chatbots and voice interfaces. We had started initially in December 2015 with a manual text-based messaging service where people could send us travel questions. We found that there was a lot of repetitiveness and a lot of potential for automation, which made us start to work on our in-house natural language processing platform that we then used first in a Slack integration that we launched in March, in an Amazon Alexa skill that we launched in May, and then in an English-speaking Facebook Messenger bot that we launched in June. And we also had the ability to add many languages to that. So we were launching a Facebook Messenger bot, one of the first Facebook Messenger bots in Germany in July 2016, a very popular bot in Brazil in the same month. We also went basically even one level higher by doing Korea. And we moved on with this platform, and later we could also build an agent for Google Home and could make use of that when integrating with the Siri remote on Apple TV. So going to the languages, yes, so Facebook Messenger, it's available worldwide. This is an example of our bot in Brazil. This here is an example of our bot in Korea, so that's in Hangul. It's pretty much a similar interface. A lot of companies, like here, when you look at these flight details, that's actually an image that we render on our server, and basically all bots that you see have some sort of server-side image rendering component to overcome some formatting limitations. And you see a lot of buttons inside these bots. And I have a better example here. So the main UI elements that you would use in these bots is that you can, of course, send text. You have the buttons, and you have what Facebook calls these so-called quick replies. So these are these small little blue blue candies or like bubbles. The interesting thing about these bubbles is that they work in a way like auto-suggestion in early systems like T9 or as you would say like in the suggestions when you write a message in iMessage. And there's actually a lot of potential for personalization and AI because the goal of these bubbles is to predict the next step that the user is going to take without having the users making him to type. So for instance, when we ask for a destination, we know that the user before may have searched for San Francisco and San Diego, so we are suggesting that again, or as an alternative fallback, because we know that's very popular as well, he may just look for a hotel around him, and that's why we allow to send the location. Same thing when we then know where the user is going, we again know that it's very popular, in fact, to book hotels for the same night, and so that's one of the auto suggestions. Many more complex things can also be enabled in these Facebook Messenger bots with the use of web views. I'm showing two of them right now. One is basically 3/4 of the page web view that shows a standard Google map. The other one is a native Facebook payment dialog. And it's very interesting because these web views are now available in a way that the user can change the state. He can make input inside the web view, and this can then get looped back into the bots. So I mean, initially everyone was sort of expecting or thinking that natural language will really enable so many new use cases in these bots and will really make a difference in bots. But soon everyone seems to have realized that users like tapping and typing so much more, and that sometimes a structured form is still better than free text. And that's why we now see a lot of bots, especially those who are in more e-commerce type of cases, that use this fusion of web components, which is like basically any sort of HTML5 you can imagine, and the bot components, which is typing, buttons, and quick replies. These are examples what you can do, and also what our bot does that was developed in my team here at Kayak. You may ask now, this is all cool. Of course, if you want to just check out bots, as said, you go to the Facebook Messenger app, you open the search bar, and then you will have the discovery section. There's also the page called, as mentioned before, botlist.co, and another page called Chatbottle, which I both recommend if you want to see what are interesting bots out there, interesting chatbots. If you are at the level that you want to build something yourself, there are also a lot of solutions around there at different levels. It starts with solutions that are more around natural language processing, like API.ai that we had mentioned already last time. There's also a solution called wechat that now belongs to Facebook. There are more already like systems that connect deeper, I would say, or same level, like the Microsoft Bot Framework. And there is now a new service called Amazon Lex that is right now in preview, but that is basically the backend of Amazon Alexa. But then there are also even, I would say, deeper integrated solutions for creating a bot even easier, such as like ChatFuel or Pullstring and many more of such solution providers, up to like Persona, which was the company that was creating this Christina Milan and other celebrity bots. I hope this gave you a good interview. We now have a good overview. We now have some time for Q&A. And if you are more interested in what we are doing at Kayak or have questions later on that you can't remember right now, you're always free to shoot me an email. Thank you.
Any questions for Matthias?
So the question is where the Kayak chatbot is most popular. So we have the most users in the US, but market relative, the hottest country is Brazil. So the question is what they do in the chatbot. So our chatbots are offering inspirational features such as where can I go for $500? We have hotel, car, and flight search, and we have some features that support you during the trip. It is, to be honest, pretty much like as on our all other products like on desktop or mobile apps. So most popular is the flight search. Second popular is hotel and cars, and there is maybe more of an angle towards inspirational products as we would have on the website, but interesting enough, chatbots are very similar in that respect to the existing channels.
Yeah, many sites have little pop-ups that say, you know, talk to someone. Are any of those actually chatbots, as far as you know?
Yeah, so I'm not perfect to answer that because I didn't build such of a bubble myself. My suggestion would be that there is probably some first sort of automated data collection, but at some point it will hand you off to a real person, if the person is available in that time zone and time of day. Thank you.